What's unfolding in Cleveland isn't a quarterback controversy, it's a revolution. The reports coming out of Berea are so wild, so chaotic, that executives across the league are reportedly in panic mode. The old playbook has been burned. The coaching hierarchy, the front office authority, the sacred, unspoken rules of who answers to who, all of it has been turned upside down by one name, Shedeur Sanders. According to multiple high-level sources, Shedeur didn't just express frustration about playing time. He went straight to the top, right to ownership, and delivered an ultimatum so bold it sent shockwaves through every front office in the NFL. He told the Browns that his future in Cleveland cannot coexist with head coach Kevin Stefanski. Let that sink in for a second. A rookie quarterback, fresh out of college, reportedly looked ownership dead in the eye and said, "It's him or me." That's not a rumor about locker room tension. That's a seismic declaration of war. To really grasp how wild this is, you have to rewind the clock 3 weeks. Stefanski, in one of the most baffling moves of his entire career, benched Shedeur Sanders during the team's most critical preseason finale, despite what insiders called an exceptional week of practice. Publicly, Stefanski wrapped the move in layers of coach speak, calling it a developmental decision and a competitive evaluation. But behind the scenes, it was a desperate attempt to reassert control over a locker room that was slipping through his fingers. Stefanski saw the momentum shifting, Shedeur era trending, fans chanting the rookie's name, and he tried to slam on the brakes. He wanted to remind everyone who was in charge. It was a fatal miscalculation. Shedeur handled the moment publicly like a seasoned professional. He smiled through interviews, said all the right things, talked about trusting the process, staying humble, learning every day. But privately, it was a different story. People close to his inner circle described it as a volcano of fury. They say Shedeur saw that benching not as a football decision, but as an act of war. In the days that followed, his agents, marketing team, and even his legal advisors reportedly met to discuss what they called nuclear options. And this week, Shedeur hit that red button, yesterday afternoon. Inside the private offices of Browns owner Jimmy Haslam, a meeting took place that could reshape the entire league. Haslam was there. So was Shedeur. So was his agent, Brandon Brown. And sitting quietly at the table with them, according to 2 separate sources, was a senior Nike executive. Notice who wasn't invited. Stefanski, the general manager, the offensive coordinator, the football operations staff. The entire football side of the Browns organization was locked out of a meeting that could determine the future of their franchise. That exclusion alone says everything about where the real power lies. Multiple sources familiar with that meeting used the same word to describe what happened: ultimatum. But this wasn't an emotional outburst. Shedeur didn't storm in and yell. He walked in like a CEO. He reportedly presented a full-blown business case, complete with data, slides, and cold, hard numbers. He showed Haslam the Nielsen ratings from the preseason, viewership spiking when he played, collapsing when he didn't. He compared the Browns' social media engagement to his own personal reach, and proved that his individual brand generated more traction than the team's official accounts. Nike's executive backed him up with internal projections about merchandise revenue, jersey sales, and sponsorship growth tied directly to Shedeur's visibility. By the end of that meeting, Haslam wasn't looking at a rookie quarterback. He was looking at an economic engine. One executive summed it up perfectly. Shedeur walked in with a PowerPoint proving he's worth more to the Browns than Kevin Stefanski by every measurable metric. He didn't threaten. He didn't beg. He presented facts. And that's what makes it so terrifying for the league, because once you prove your value in dollars, loyalty becomes negotiable. This isn't arrogance. It's business evolution. Shedeur represents a new reality, one where the player is the brand and the team is just the platform. He arrived in the NFL already established, already profitable, already a star. He didn't need the Browns to build his name. The Browns needed him to stay relevant. And when Nike invests 9 figures into your image, they expect results. They expect airtime. Stefanski's conservative offense wasn't just holding Shedeur back, it was hurting corporate interests. In that meeting, Nike didn't come to play football. They came to protect their investment. Within hours of the report leaking, social media exploded. Fire Stefanski was the #1 trend nationwide. Shedeur era followed right behind it. Hundreds of thousands of posts poured in, fans sharing clips of Shedeur's explosive preseason plays side by side with Stefanski's vanilla play calling. The fan base fractured overnight. The older generation called it arrogance, proof that young athletes have gotten too much power. But the younger fans? They saw a hero. They saw a player standing up to a broken system that's been producing mediocrity for decades. To them, this wasn't a tantrum. It was a revolution. Even ESPN couldn't contain the chaos. Stephen A. Smith thundered on air about the inmates running the asylum, warning that this kind of player empowerment would destroy the league's balance. But for the first time in a long time, he sounded out of touch. Younger analysts fired back that this isn't 1985 anymore, it's 2025. Players are the product. They drive ratings, sales, engagement, and growth. If Shedeur Sanders generates more value than the coach, the math is simple. The business world will side with the money. Meanwhile, inside the Browns facility, Stefanski is reportedly devastated. The man once celebrated as Coach of the Year is now the target of a rookie's campaign. Some of his assistants say he's been betrayed, that he protected Shedeur from pressure, managed his development carefully, and now feels stabbed in the back. Others whisper about Shedeur's flaws, his lack of real game experience, his improvisational habits, his rumored resistance to film room criticism. But those whispers don't matter anymore. In this era, perception is power. Shedeur controls the narrative. His PR machine is unmatched, his fan base is global, and his father, Shedeur Sanders, can turn any slight into a headline within hours. Stefanski isn't fighting a quarterback anymore. He's fighting a media empire, and then there's Jimmy Haslam standing at the crossroads of a billion-dollar decision. Option 1. Fire Stefanski and hand Shedeur the keys to the kingdom. It would validate every fear old-school coaches have ever had about player empowerment. But it would also keep the star happy, the fans engaged, and Nike invested. Option 2. Stand by Stefanski, preserve the chain of command, and risk losing the most marketable player the franchise has ever had. Either way, Cleveland loses something. Around the league, executives are terrified. They're watching Cleveland like a horror movie, knowing this could be their future. Because if Shedeur wins, if a 23-year-old rookie can get a head coach fired before playing a single regular season game, it changes everything. It means endorsements, not playbooks, determine power. It means marketing executives sit in on football meetings. It means the NFL has officially entered the same player-driven world the NBA embraced years ago. For now, the city of Cleveland is split. Some fans are celebrating Shedeur as a visionary, a symbol of a new era where talent and business sense collide. Others see him as the villain, the embodiment of ego gone wild. But everyone agrees on one thing: this story is bigger than football. It's about what happens when modern economics meets an ancient institution. It's about who really runs the game. So what do you think? Has Shedeur Sanders become the face of a new NFL revolution, or is this the beginning of the league's downfall? Is Kevin Stefanski a victim of corporate power, or an outdated coach who refused to evolve? And if you were Jimmy Haslam, what would you do? Side with the coach or bet everything on the rookie? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter of this story. Because make no mistake, what's happening in Cleveland right now is just the beginning.